Throughout Overwatch's history, there has always been a debate. The debate of which ultimate is the best and which one is the worst. But then there's the middle tier ultimates that no one talks about as well. In this video, I am making the definitive list in order from best to worst of the best ultimates in the game. This list is not opinion based and is 100% correct. And if you're gonna whine in the comments because you lost a game because one of the worst ults on this list killed your entire team, then that's on you. Now keep in mind, all of the ultimates in Overwatch are very strong and draw value, but nothing is created equally. Anyway, to start off this list, we have Bastions. This is easily the worst ult in the game and it's not even close. Number one reason why is because you very rarely get value with it. And then the second reason why is because you're a literal sitting target when you use it. The only way to actually get value with it is by involving another ultimate, thus wasting your economy. Next up we have Casses, and you rarely get kills with it. You can't do anything while it's active and you just glow on the screen, which is an incentive of, wow, look at me, I'm very killable. Just genuinely an awful ult. I will say though that it is a good zoning ult, but 90% of the time it's better to just use it as a reload. After Cass we have Junkrat, and this is one where I'm expecting the meta ranked players to be like, this ult is goated in the comments. No, it's not! Junkrat can be killed because his body is AFK while you use it, and if you have more than one brain cell, you'll just shoot the fucking tire. Genji earns a spot very low towards the bottom of this list because sadly, his ult is just bad. You lose all of your range, and if you miss your dash, you're kinda cooked, and if you don't have deflect, you're just gonna die. I will say though that if you combo the ult, it can get value, as well as the fact that it is a very strong ult at cooldown baiting as well. You can force ultimates with it because support players do not like dying and will use ults like Trance or Sound Barrier to protect themselves. After Genji is Soldier, and his ult is quite literally just playing Soldier normally. Now, if you have bad aim, his ult is broken and then you're hitting your shots. But then, on that same page, if you have bad aim, you shouldn't be playing Soldier in the first place. Soldier's ult is good paired up with other ults, but that's another reason why his ult ranks so low. Hanzo is next, and I don't really have much to say about this other than the fact it can be used to combo with Grav or other CC ults and charges fast. 90% of the time though you're going to use it, the enemy team will just move out of the way. Every time I hear a Reaper ult, I'm not very scared. But most of the time you do use it, you get CC chained into Overwatch 3. There is occasions, however, where Reaper's ult does pop off, and all of the ults we've gone through so far, I do feel as though Reaper's has the most impact on the game. Between how quick it can kill something and how fast it charges, it fits here rather perfectly. Now is the first tank ult and first non-DPS ult, and that's Orissa's. Now, Orissa's ult is good because number one, it gives you bonus health and fortify, which is most like a second shot at life kind of ult, and number two because it can sometimes pop off, but most of the time you're not going to kill anything, and if you do use Terror Surge as a second life, you still don't instantly gain all your health back like Winston does, so you still are killable, just less. Infrasight is a very difficult ult to rank on this list, and it's not based on the ult, but the player and team itself. It provides valuable information on whether there's a flanker, which direction the team's attacking from, but also provides the Widow with the opportunity to easily line up headshots from the moment the other team decides to peek. Murray and Mercy's ults are both interchangeable in the list, as sometimes one is better than the other, but they're both drastically worse compared to other support ults. It only seems fitting though that after Mercy's ult is Varus. This ult makes you the easiest target to kill in the game, and Barrage is good for one thing and one thing only, and that's blowing up the enemy tank. And I assure you that if you hover just about 2 feet above the enemy tank and just blow your ult into them, they'll just get deleted. Sure, you're probably gonna die, but without a tank, a teamfight is most likely lost either way. Symmetra has a weird ult, as lower ranks don't really understand the power of having a 4000 health shield in front of your team, but once they do, it really has a large impact on the game. After Sim is Hog, and this was a very hard one to rank. On one hand, you have an ult that at close range instantly deletes something, and if they've been knocked into a wall, they're gonna die. But on the other hand, if you just boop them away, they're gonna live, and you just charge the enemy team's support ults. Ball is after Hog, and his ult is very good at doing what the voice line says, denying area. Not only that, good balls do the combo when they're in the air of popping ult and then pile driving, which arms the mines while the enemy team has been booped in the air to the pile drive, and then they just fall to their deaths. Only reason as to why this isn't ranked higher is because the mines are very easily destroyed. Next up is Doom, and his ult is good at doing a lot of different things. Setting up for a kill, retreating when low on health, finding another angle to engage from, giving you charge punch, trying to land on a support and kill them. However, compared to the other ultimates on this list, above this one, they just completely outrank it. Next is Winston's, and this is a lot like Mercy and Moira's where it's interchangeable with Doom's. Winston's ult is best used as a second life. How you're meant to use it is that you go in, try and find a kill, and then when you're about to die you use your ult, which allows you to keep fighting. People seem to think that Primal in itself is a bad ult. No, it's not. It does a shit ton of damage, and if you know how to use it, you will always gain value from it. On paper, Zen has an incredibly strong ult, which is true to a degree. It is very strong, as having 300 healing per second does make your team seem very unkillable. Like the DPS passive and anti-heal, it can be outdamaged. However, this is rare to occur, but it does happen. Venture is up next, and they have a good ultimate that is very strong and impactful. Definitely one of the better solely damage based ultimates. However, if you are in the air, it doesn't do any damage. Next is Papa Torb, and his ultimate ranks so high because of three things. Its area denial, how fast it charges, and the fact it's the biggest counter on the two best ults in the game. We'll get to them later. Sojourn's ult is insane, as it gives Sojourn for 8 seconds the power to instantly delete anyone who is in her line of sight. The only drawback and reason as to why it's not significantly higher is because it does require the need of hitting your shots. Illari is the only support whose ultimate does only damage. Not only that, it also provides a slowness effect to those struck by it, which makes it easier for them to be killed, and it allows Illari to and on top of that, her ult allows Illari to fly around the map. The reason as to why it's not higher is because it is one of the slowest ults in the game to charge, and it is very easy to just completely whiff it and hit nothing. Tracer is next up, and her ultimate is very high ranked for a multitude of reasons. The first being that it's the fastest charging ult in the game, how you can instantly remove most of the health off of a tank or just stick it to a squishy and then they just die, as well as try and force ults and cooldowns to make sure whoever is stuck doesn't get murked by the small British lady. The biggest downside of Pulse is how easy it is to miss, as it does take a lot of skill to be able to consistently hit pulse bombs. Nothing hits better than a fat shatter, and it happens to be one of the strongest ultimates in the game. Between how fast it charges, how easy it is to secure kills and force ults, it would be easily the front runner for the best ult in the game if it wasn't so easy to block it, whiff it, and waste it. Either way, still one of the better ults on the list. Next is Mauga's, and boy do I have a lot of opinions on this. In theory, it's an S tier ult, but in reality, most of the time you use it, you do gain a lot of value, but you're not getting team wipes like the way it's made out to be. The way I'm saying this is making it seem like Cage Fight is bad. If anything, it's the opposite. It's more the fact that Mauga as a character is a bad concept design, and I don't want to compliment a mistake. Every time you use D.Va's ult, you're gonna get value. Whether that's used abilities, kills, ultimates, it's very strong. However, it is best used as a second life after your mech dies, as having your mech provides more value to your team than what your ult does. Next is Lifeweaver, and man, he has such a strong ult. It's like if Zen's ult and Briggs' ult had a baby in terms of what it does, but then it also has a massive tree which you can just hide around if you need cover, or you can use it to block doorways as well. It is worth noting that you can destroy it, but if you were to do that, I would recommend combing it, as it does have a lot of health. After Weaver is BAP, and this ultimate does so much. You can either choose to use it selfishly or as a team, but either way you're going to force the opposing team to kite it, as you have to respect the double damage from the ult. Next up is the last solely damage based ultimate on the list, and that's Ram. And if this was the Ram where there was no timer on his ult, it would be significantly higher, but alas, the devs do somewhat care about the game. It's a very strong ultimate that can be used as a second life to force out other ultimates, cooldowns, or force people off a point. To force movement from the enemy team in general, it's just really strong. After Ram we have Mei, and boy, if it couldn't get eaten and it was so easy to cancel by just killing her, this would be higher. It's the only ability in the game that freezes people, and it's the only zoning ult that is vertical. It's a strong ultimate, but frozen targets can easily be unfrozen though through cleansing effects like Suzu, Bubble, or Fortify. Bob is a 6th player, and doesn't need much to add on top of that in terms of its benefits. It does have a couple of downsides which doesn't rank it higher, that being sometimes he has a mind of his own and doesn't go where you tell him to go. And then the fact he can easily be thirsted down. Next up, we have Echo's Copy. This ult is just free value. You get whoever you copy's ult 4 times faster than usual, plus their abilities. And like I said at the start of the video, every single ult in this game provides value and is good, which makes Echo's ult most excellent. Next up we have Briggs, and her ultimate is so damn strong. Between giving her teammates overhealth, her shield having 700 health, shield bash stunning, and her gaining another 100 armor for the duration of rally, her ult is going to have an impact no matter what. Just don't die when it's active and you're good. Next up is Ana, and oh boy, where do we even begin? Nano Boost is definitely one of the most impactful ults in the game. You can use it to instantly save someone who's going to die, combo it with someone else's ult, or just nano someone and watch them go ham. It is worth noting that Nano does have about a 0.3 second cast time, and if the target or Ana dies during that time, Nano will be wasted. From this point forward, every ult here is game changing from the moment you press your ult button, and almost always will result in a teamfight win unless the opponents have the exact counter towards it. The first game changing ultimate on the list is Hazard's. At first I was a bit skeptical about Hazard's ult, then I watched his ult become one of the most impactful, game changing and valuable ults in the game. The ability to trap someone with the utmost of ease is so fucking powerful that it needs to be studied. This can be blocked by barriers, eaten and deflected, which is the only real counters to it, but they still only cover a selected area of the massive area that Downpour covers. The best defensive ultimate in the game is by far Sound Barrier. Instantly giving 800 overhealth is insane. This can be used in reaction to an enemy ultimate or combo, a low teammate if you're low, if you want to engage, or to combo it yourself. This ult can be stunned or cancelled during the cast time, and you can die during the cast time as well. If this happens, there will most likely be a couple people saying that you Ajaxed. Junker Queen's ult is Ana's nade on anabolic steroids. It provides the anti-heal effect to anyone hit by it, and provides the bleed effect to Queen, which makes her almost unkillable during the duration of the ultimate. The only real counters to this ult are Suzu and Bubble. Even then, Bubble doesn't do all that much, because if you only have one Bubble, and multiple people are hit by it, you've got to decide who you're going to save. Next up is the first grav, being Sigma's Gravitic Flux. Now Flux is strong for a multitude of reasons. Number 1, you'll always force cooldowns. It's not a choice, it's gonna happen. If you're caught in it, you've got to use cooldowns to survive. Number 2, because of how much damage it does. And number 3, it allows Sigma to reposition to places he usually can't get to. The weaknesses of the ultimate is that you can be stunned or killed, as well as the fact that you can just whiff everything and miss. Now we have the next grav, being Zarya's Graviton Surge. Easily the best combo ult outside of Nano. This ultimate, when used, forces the enemy team into one spot where they can't move for 3 seconds. During this time, you're most likely to win the fight, as Zarya on her lonesome can kill everyone in the grav if she's at high enough charge, But then, if her team gets involved, no defense matrix is saving you if that happens. Zarya's ult will always force out enemy cooldowns and other ultimates in hopes of surviving it, which is half the reason as to why it's so strong. Beware Javelin Spin, Deflect, Defense Matrix, and Kinetic Grasp, as they are the only ways a Zarya can genuinely waste her ult, if it's eaten or worse, deflected. The number 3 ultimate and third best ult in the game is EMP. You know what's better than all the enemies' shields being instantly destroyed and them losing 30% of their health? Them losing their abilities for 3 seconds, which yes, does cancel any active ultimates. The even better part of EMP is the fact that it provides damage boost to Sombra, which really increases how strong it is. But then also the fact it charges faster than your dad decided to leave to get some milk makes it easily the third best ult in the game. The runner-up for best ultimate in the game is Kiriko's. Kitsune Rush is so difficult to counter that either you need the opponent to have a severe player advantage in the teamfight, you somehow mess up Kiriko's ultimate, have a Torb use Molten Core, the other team use a Kiriko ult or the best ult in the game in retaliation. Or the other team use a Kiriko ult or the best ult in the game in retaliation. This ultimate just instantly wins you the teamfight if it wasn't for those previous pretenses, as it forces out enemy abilities and it doesn't matter if you use yours, as you're going to get them back twice as fast anyway. Then the other team has to kite it or face the consequences of 2 times ability cooldown reduction, plus 50% fire rate, plus 50% reload speed, and plus 30% movement speed. And finally, the best ultimate in the game is Juno's Orbital Ray. Even after all of the nerfs, this ultimate is still the best ultimate in the game. It is a lot closer to Kitsune Rush than what it once was, and it did take a lot of thought to think about, but it is just too damn strong. For 8 seconds, your team is healed 85 heals a second and does 30% more damage. On paper, it sounds strong but beatable, but then you get in game and you can't keep up with the damage that's being dealt and the constant healing from Orbital. There is only 2 ways to properly counter this ult. Another Orbital or Torb's ult, which still doesn't even do enough. If your opponents are smart, they'll just let your team kill you and hard reset. But then, if it's at the end of the game and they can't afford that, in retaliation, you're gonna force so many ults and cooldowns it's not funny. So yeah, Juno has the best ult in the game, still, even after all of the nerfs. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you made it this far, that means one of 2 things. You either liked the video or you're eager to learn more about Overwatch. Either way, consider subscribing as it helps me and the channel out more than you might think. I hope you all enjoyed, stay safe and healthy, and I hope to catch you all in the next one. Until then.